Oh,
that's funny. I said we should have dumped it. I wouldn't even care if we dumped it. I was all over there.
I hope you didn't take any lessons from my football.
Definitely not.
Warming up. It was a warm-up.
Right. I'm used to throwing a football.
I'm recording this as well.
Don't record this. This ball behind her.
Don't record.
There's a ball. There's a ball.
Where's the ball?
It's back there. Go get it. Go get it. Go get
I might have to go get that. There's a ball behind.
No, I don't trust you.
They're right there, though. Are we done?
Baseball coach should come over here and throw the ball.
Come on, Jamar. Yeah, Jamar, you got like any cash?
Jamar's on me. Here we go. You got to pay, man. You got to pay. You don't get freebies.
I got them.
Oh, man.
Yeah. You only get one?
I'm just starting trying on.
You got extra clothes, remember?
Huh?
You got extra clothes.
I do have extra.
Oh.
Aim down a little bit more. It ain't gonna go.
Oh, that was close. A little bit lower. It was close. Don't pick up the ball. I should throw it back down there.
Coach, how many times have you got in?
One.
One?
It was cheap. I got the same thing.
I'm gonna knock him in.
I see something here,
He's a college kid. Don't throw your shoulder out. Nobody wanted to dunk her block. Nobody wants to dunk me.
It came with the dunk tank.
Yours are so pretty. It's all you, John.
Hold on, I'm just getting loose, Coach. Alright, you ready?
Wait for you to throw it. I expect it. Bouncing back to it.
Coach, you going in.
If he didn't hit it, I was going to go hit the thing anyway, so.
Well, Terry.
Alright.
That's two. If it makes you feel any better, you've been dunked the most times.
Well, I'm sure we probably got more money than the last coach got, too. Yeah. Terry, you guys can see me right down the street of West Virginia Fest. That was horrible.
You boys didn't bring extra money. We had to make it 2 days, late night.
Tell him.
You don't want to go
Tell him we
down.
came straight from football practice.
Yeah, we can't write from football.
Huh?
We can't write from football. We weren't expecting it.
Oh. I take Venmo, Cash App, go get yourself up.
How much is
He's
it?
taking everything.
It's 5 for 3.
5 for 3? How much is $1?
I got to ride home with that.
Any dollar ain't gonna give you a ball.
I think it's probably $1.50.
Cameron's parents are here. He can get one.
You heard her. Who? What are you back there doing? Telling stories? They're all live? Are we officially done?
Yeah,
Can
we're
I get
done.
off this thing now?
Yeah, we're done.
My truck's all on. Come on, see, Jack. I mean, it's right there. See it?
Yeah. It's a home team. Home team. Oh.
Home team sports.
Okay, Jay. Oh, just a bit outside. Did Faircloth get in?
Yeah.
Did anybody dunk him? You gotta make the adjustment. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened with me. The first 3 for practice.
Bye, coach.
You getting in?
In the thing?
No. Yeah, matter of fact.
I think that's supposed to
Yeah, push the button.
push the button.
I knew he was pushing the button.
Right. I'm gonna get the music up.
If you lose your
It's fine with the bed. Take her smart.
The top ones are necessary. We're not using the bottom ones. Yeah.
We need the coaches. We need the coaches up there.
Let's split this thing down and tell you what else go ahead and
All right. Hey, yeah, actually, can yeah. All righty. Hey, buddy, yeah, I got a hard question for you first, bro.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm always ready.
Yeah. Yeah, you might not be right.
Be nice to me, Rick. Take it easy on me.
Well, I guess I should be nice. I know my daughter's working on it. Spring mill again this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Good deal.
All right. Speak loud. We're back. It's Akeem Holmes, JD Fritz from Hts Sports TV, joined by staff from WPN and Kaz from the Journal. We got Spring Mills coaches, Coach Law and Coach Hesson. The first question I'm going to ask for Coach Hesson. You have been involved in winning programs, won some state championships at your previous stop as a coach. What similarities do you feel like this year's team has to some of those compared to some of those state championship teams in the past?
Well, coming to Spring Mills last year, kind of like at Martinsburg that first year, I think last year we were maybe a little further along in terms of some things. So, and I said this earlier on a different broadcast, is that we want to build on that. And hopefully, we can have some of the same success that we had. And I always call it the bad place. I tell those kids, I was at the bad place for a long time. We can have some of those same successes.
Coach Law,
Yeah.
JD Fritz, Home Team Sports. After a few years of being, a fairly young team, your team's finally growing up, become one of the more, mature teams, mature as a unit. What are some self-identified keys that to your team to try to get to the playoffs this year?
Playoff. Well, I think first thing first is finding our identity. And I think one of the things for me is that we want to continue to build off that growth that we had last year. Later in the season, we were able to find some things that worked pretty good for us, and it's about taking those things and moving forward with that.
Well, Coach, of course, you're still a relatively young school in the area. Now, of course, I think that excuse is starting to, for the most part, run its course. But that being said, it takes time to get a culture built with a school, a culture built around a program. So how do you feel like that's been going throughout this that journey so far? Either way.
First thing I look at is the weight room. I know Coach Sam, that's one of the things when we first came over here, we wanted to get that weight room culture right. We all know that's a huge part of football. You gotta be strong enough to go against what we consider 17, 18-year-old kids. Years ago, our guys were young. And so now that we've been in that weight room, I think that's one of the things. They go in there, they're focused, they're locked in. I'm hoping that's going to be a key part of our success.
Last year, I think you guys were criminally underrated defensively. From what I think was a variation of Jeff Castile's 3-3-5. You guys lose Gavin Jones, if I'm correct, who was one of the best edge rushers in the Panhandle. So defensively, where are you guys at? And are you going to be able to create havoc and apply some pressure despite losing a pretty premier edge talent?
Well, I played for Coach Castile, and that's where that defense came from when I was at the bad place. But Gavin, and realize last year we didn't have Gavin as much as we could due to injury, and had to play some young kids who got valuable experience. And there's two of them standing right there, and Anthony Williams, who's in my nose guard that I will move outside, and Mr. Prophet over there plays defensive end for me. And actually, I started a freshman, Xavier Anderson, the younger of the Anderson brothers, and he did a great job, gained some valuable experience. And I've seen huge strides in Xavier's game, and it's a lot too stronger, year older, more mature. I also think I have some guys, some second team guys who those guys need a break, can come in and play, and we won't lose a whole lot. So I think we'll be able to, to create some pressure, with this defense.
Coach, it's Parker Stern, WEDM Sports. So Keon Mills, what's his role expected to be in 2023? We saw him have different looks in 2021, 2022. Maybe not the year that Keon was expected to maybe have, but what's going to be an expected role for Keon Mills in 2023?
I think offensively, first of all, Keon has been tremendous this offseason. He stepped up. He's become one of our captains. He's actually been one of those guys doing while we're out there with the young kids. He's out there coaching up young guys. And so for him, as a student athlete, that's been a big, humongous step for him. On the football field, we want to try to move him around a little bit. Obviously, primarily in the slot, and using his talents that way. But if you want it defensively?
Defensively, right now, he's my starting free safety, but you could see him at corner. You could see him at outside linebacker. My whole deal is getting the best 11 on the field. He's one of those best 11. I would love to have Max on the field last year, but for obvious reasons I couldn't. He's a quarterback, but this year he's a year older, year stronger, more mature. He's one of my best 11. He could be at free safety. He could be at outside linebacker. Hell, I probably could line him up at corner if I wanted to, but I think I got some good ones out there. I won't have to worry about that. But you will see him at free safety. You'll see him at outside linebacker.
Well, Coach, talk about Max Anderson. How much pressure is on his shoulders this year?
Max is a cool, calm guy. Honestly, you see it through practice. Coach, with his defense out there, he dials up some stuff, and he's able to keep that composure. So I have a lot of confidence in Max. And then not just that, but the offensive line does a great job of protecting them. They communicate. And so it's the way I look at it, it is a unit. And that's the way we try to approach that thing. So not pressure a lot on Max, but we look at it as a unit.
Naturally, everyone continues to talk about what Max Anderson can bring. What are some other players that you guys have had that have taken that next step that are going to be key contributors to your team this year?
You talk
all right, so offensively, also you guys talked about Keon helping us there. I think in the running back, we have Cam Taylor, Alex Eaton. Those guys do a good job. Combination guys, able to do some different things for us. We had a little bit of success this summer with our receivers. And that was a big thing of my part, trying to give those guys keys to be able to get open, get man zone. So I think you'll see a little bit of a mixture of what we can do this year will be the goal.
Do you have any concerns about having your quarterback also playing defense? And I ask that with the codicil that the bad place back in the 90s as Kennedy Award-winning quarterback who was on, I think it was a kickoff team, and he got hurt and missed the first playoff game.
Right.
I'll answer this one for you, Rick. I also there had a Kennedy Award winner who was a stand-up defensive end for me in Nate Sowers and did just fine. I have no worries about Max getting hurt. You know, it could happen on offense. It could happen anywhere, but you can't worry about that. Again, I think Mike and Coach Law, we got to play our best 11. If he's one of the best 11, he's got to play.
All right. So now we will bring up Spring Mills' 5 players that have been requested. If you guys could actually introduce them as they come up.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, first off, we got Max Anderson. All right. Prophet, help me out, Prophet. Gim, sorry. Anthony Williams, Nico Lover, and then we have Braden Kirk.
All right. So
I'm going to get that right. All right.
I'll ask the first question to Max Anderson. You have been a special talent since your freshman year within the program. You've worked extremely hard to get to this point. What are your next steps in your ascension as a leader and a quarterback to not only get yourself to the next level, but lead your team to the playoffs?
Honestly, it's just grow throughout the team, pushing my guys to just get better every week. I think we're really hungry to come and play this upcoming next Friday against Jefferson, and we just been working hard all summer. So I'm just expecting to see a lot of growth from our guys and all the work we put in this summer.
Well, Prophet, I'll go ahead and direct this question towards you. It seems like Spring Mills is always looked at as kind of the first team out of the main group of EPAC teams. Is that something that you guys kind of look at and use that as motivation going into the season?
I mean, of course, always, like one of y'all said earlier, we can't use the same excuses. We're just a new school, as we're going into our 10th year, and I feel like the energy's great, the coaching staff, the players, and I feel like we're all ready to really make an impact this year.
Anthony, can you talk a little bit about the offensive and defensive line? Is it fair to say that that's where you guys return the most experience, and how's that coming along as a unit?
I would say as a senior from the O-line, I think we improved a lot from last year. We've gotten better, we've gotten patient, and also in D-line, we've had a couple kids come through, but we all made it and made stuff happen last year.
What's it like playing as an offensive lineman with a mobile quarterback? I mean, you've got Max extending plays. I mean, does that force you to be involved in a play longer, get downfield? I mean, is it a little bit of a unique challenge playing with a mobile quarterback?
I wouldn't think so. Most of our line is more athletic than some others, so we could run with Max if we wanted to. So,
Max, I want to direct this at you. So, what strides have you taken, especially to improve as a passer coming into this year? If you've heard the contingency, Spring Mills can go as far as Max Anderson develops as a passer. What have you really developed on most coming into the season?
Honestly, as what I've developed is honestly I've gotten a lot better being comfortable in the pocket. So I mean, that's just from 7-on-7s this summer and just throwing routes to my wide receivers in the summer. So honestly, I just think me putting in the work with the wide receivers during the summer has really just improved, and just going into this summer camp or this fall camp, that we just been putting in a lot of work, and I think I'm gonna be ready to come in next Friday.
What's it like playing with your brother too now that he's joined the team? How's that fun has that been?
Oh, it's super fun. He's really energetic, and we just have that bond and that chemistry because we've been playing it ever since we've been younger. And he's 6'6", so it's just easy. It's just easy to throw the ball to him; he'll grab it.
Braden, you're the center, correct?
Yes, sir.
What do you guys do, whether it be on the field, off the field, to kind of get that cohesiveness as a unit? You guys hang out? Do you all, live together? Talk about that a little bit.
So we do this thing like every Thursday. We go and work with the junior Cardinals as like a line, and we'll break into groups of 2 and 3. And we just really like to work together because working with them works on us. It's our coach is big on mental toughness. It's mentally, that's where we're strong at, and that's where we've increased the most at. So spending that time together over the summer and just working hard together has definitely increased our game.
Nico, we talked a lot about the offense and how much they're going to have to score points this year, but you're going to have to stop points on the other end as well. So at the linebacker position, how do you feel your core has started to come together this season?
I think last year last year we had Sam Soller, and he was a huge backer last year, and we had a lot of younger kids playing that position with him. So losing him, a lot of us have had to step up and everything, and being in the trenches and also in the pass area, all of us have gone a lot better as a whole.
Who's the toughest guy on the offensive tackle?
I would say Prophet. Prophet's the toughest guy.
I have a two-part question for anybody. You guys have the first EPAC game of the season. Now, when the EPAC athletic directors got together, they wanted to push everything toward the back. So you guys are kind of the focus game first weekend of the season. And what kind of perspective do you take from that?
Honestly, we're just going into this game, going with our game plan, just going into work. Honestly, we worked so hard this summer. I'm trusting all these guys right beside me, and I just think going to this game is going to be very exciting, and we just got a statement to prove.
Okay, part two. Since Jefferson is here right now, why don't we take the football off the balloons and just play right now?
Hey, if we had this game tomorrow, I think we'd be ready. I just trust these guys, and I just believe that we got what it takes to get this dub and show everyone that we're not the old Spring Mills to play with.
Well, that game will be on Home Team Sports TV next Friday at 6:30. Join in, lock in. So we'll call me back that.
Yeah.
Hey, good job, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Today.
I'm here for it.
Not to give them all the big J Junior questions.
Anyway,
He told me family. That's it. Have you heard anything?
no, I was last there one day, and they're weird.
So I was supposed to talk to him this week. He canceled.
And the question you
Schedule. I'm not here.
They weren't even saying people with 8 grams supposed to be. So like, I don't think anything.
Record on this stuff. You record on here as well?
I'll take the first one. This is for the coaches. What has been the message or the mindset starting in camp and building up to week 1 next week? What's been like the main message and the main mindset you want to instill in your guys?
Well, I know for me defensively, again, we want to build on what we did last year, and we want to continue to get better. My whole thing is, okay, got to have a catchphrase. And I had one, at the bad place. And now it's relentless. We want to be relentless in everything we do defensively. Getting to the ball, getting off the blocks, but everything we do, we're going to be relentless while we're doing it.
I mean, I think offensively, very similar. I want to continue that growth, and that's going to be my biggest thing. We found ourselves identity last year, take that identity, and now we want to improve on that.
One more for the coaches real quick before we come to the players, so y'all be ready for your answers. Coach, how do y'all view football in the Eastern Panhandle, period, going across the whole state? Because sometimes, southern teams look at us that we're not as good as them? How do you view football in the Panhandle period as in 11?
Well, myself, again, and I tell these kids all the time, I hate to have to revert back to it, but I was there for a long time. For a long time, it was, us there and then everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Being away from it for a couple of years, and not just because I'm away from it, I think the gap is closed. And I think that's good for everybody, especially in the Panhandle. I wish everyone in the Panhandle, not us, goes 9-1. That means there are only losses to us. I wish that for everybody. I wish they all, because the better each team is in this area, it's better for everybody. So.
Absolutely. Anything else to add?
Yeah, for me, honestly, tremendous athletes out here. That's the one that sticks up for me. From my days at Morgantown and having to make that trip over to the bad place and that, it was just such a different style of football from in Morgantown, where you come out here, you're going to have these athletes that are able to run and stuff like that. So tremendous amount of respect for the Eastern Panhandle teams.
Sometimes we look at us that we're just, hate to say it, but it's just Martinsburg and everybody else. Now, as Coach said, the gap is closed. Everybody is capable of winning any other night. So that's really good in the Panhandle. You want to take the next one?
Yeah. This was for the players. I'll take turns.
Everybody taking a deep breath.
What do you think is the most important factor that will determine what do you think was the most important factor that will determine if you guys reach your goals that your team has set this year?
Anybody?
I think being mentally strong. We're going to have a lot of games. Maybe they might not go away, but I just think being mentally strong will really help us keep going down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, I also think, mentally tough, because I know other day at practice, I was talking about how, when you see other teams, you see when they're arguing, you knew they're boiling the water, and that's when you knew you got you, so you just got to stay disciplined. Can't argue, we just got to stay doing our jobs and just play football. At the end of the day, you're not going to play your whole life, so you just got to have fun and just do what you will.
I would definitely say learn to trust your teammates.
Everybody laughing, so I see what's going on.
We've grown as a team a lot from last year, and I think a lot of people don't really understand that. And I'm completely ready for Friday because I trust my teammates going into that game.
I would say staying positive and keeping your head up. Even if it's a win or lose, you gotta stay positive about everything.
I think about going back to what Coach Hudson said earlier about being relentless. Last year we had a lot of games where we started out really good and really hard, and then throughout the time of the game we all kind of slowed down. I think practice this year in the summer we've all picked up intensity and learned to finish soon.
Yes. So we'll go for another one for the players. I know the goal is to, get the states, try to win it all. What are some personal goals y'all have? Maybe somebody wants to get 20 sacks on the year, or throw 35 touchdowns. What's some personal goals that you want to accomplish?
Honestly, I don't think any of us as a group are really selfish like that, but I just think our main goal as a team is just to win. And I think that's just all we worry about, to be honest, and just grow throughout the team.
That was deep.
What Matt said, I would rather us all play good than just one or two of us however many touchdowns and tackles and sacks or whatever. So, just me seeing progress is just showing me that we're actually going somewhere and not just one of us who's going to graduate after a couple of years. Everybody, both programs get better.
We're definitely going off of what our coaches said earlier. We play the best 11. So it's we push each other. So like as Max was saying, I don't think we stress personal goals as a team. It's all about learning to work together and finding those people that are going to work. Because everybody's willing to work on our team. We have a great roster, but it's just being able to push each other.
I would say try to win as a group than individual, because you can't really do stuff by yourself if you're facing 1 against 11. So you'd rather fight as a group than yourself.
Being a defensive player only, Having like 30 solo tackles is nice, but I'd much rather have like 20 group tackles with the whole team's on the goal.
Bunch of shutouts, 4-0 as a defense.
Yeah.
Coach, what y'all doing? I got them boys season right. Them boys ready, Coach. I love it. I love it. Got something else for us, Sean?
No, I think that's it, guys. And we'll actually, I think we're covering you guys' game at Jefferson this weekend. So, good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Keep the team. Good job, Coach. You raising them boys right. You get the spring medal, baby. You guys are good.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank y'all for coming out.
Thank you again.
Good luck, fellas. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck to y'all.
Thank you. Well, you know, they're all thinking back. I don't know if there's 25 touchdowns and 1,000 yards rushing. They're all thinking. They're afraid to say it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Meet Cheryl Yates at ERA Liberty Realty. With over 30 years of experience, Cheryl provides each of her clients with the best level of customer service, along with helping families with the next phase of their life. The buying and selling process comes natural to Cheryl, as her understanding of the housing market allows her the ability to answer any questions that may arise. With offices in both Jefferson and Berkeley counties, she works hard to ensure the outcome you deserve. Cheryl is the key to selling or buying your home.
Juwan is the ultimate height guy. I love him.
First question, Craig. All right, so we are back with Jefferson High School coach Craig Hunter. We'll have JD start the first question.
Coach Hunter, we have quite a history together. Before you took over at Jefferson, the Jefferson program, kind of going down, and you also had plenty of down years. You really built this program up to something special now. The team's pretty much a contender now every single year. What about your current tenure as a coach are you most proud of?
I would just say being a Jefferson alumni is trying to put something back into Jefferson football. I've been a part of the program. I graduated from Jefferson in 1990, played for Jefferson, came back in 1998, stayed there for a while, went to Washington to open up Washington High School and came back to Jefferson with aspirations of maybe someday being the head coach of Jefferson. Just bringing football back to Jefferson to where people want to come to games and celebrate Jefferson High School football has been the best special part of my tenure, and watching these kids grow and move on and do special things either in the program and outside the program after they leave Jefferson High School.
All right, Coach, this is Akeem Holmes from Home Team Sports TV. Coach Hunter, this question is for you. From the middle of the season last year, you could see that the Cougar philosophy was predicated on becoming a more physical team as the weather changed. With two amazing backs in Roper and Delgado, is it safe to say that the Cougar fans will see a much physical style of football this year as well?
I think there's some things that we're going to do as far as with Delgado and Tayshawn, as far as running the ball and getting the ball in their hands. But we have a lot of athletes on the team that are out there that we need to get the ball in the hands of. Another guy that everybody knows about and everybody pretty sure is going to be looking at and find out where he is on the field is Keyshawn. Knowing that he's on the field and everybody knowing that he's on the field, we are trying to find innovative ways to try to get him the ball and get him involved in the offense. We feel that he has to probably get a certain amount of touches a game or targets a game in that aspect. But I think we're still going to try to, hit home with the running game a little bit with Delgado and Tayshawn back there in the backfield.
Coach Jordan Nice Warner, WPM Sports. I want to look back at what turned out to be somewhat of a short-lived quarterback battle between Herrick and Goins. And I want to mainly focus on Goins because it took a lot, I would imagine, for a high school kid to, get taken out of that starting quarterback position and then have to filter into a offensive position where he ended up having to be a key figure. So looking at that last year and looking forward, the growth in Quentin, how have you enjoyed watching that? And then, of course, what's his job going to look like a little bit this year?
The whole situation that happened last year, nobody saw it coming. We just kind of figured that we were going to go with Quentin and stay with Quentin. Things just didn't pan out that way. It showed a lot of maturity in Quentin to be able to come back, bounce back, and do what he did. Not only be stellar offensively for us down the stretch in the playoffs, but also to come in defensively and play that defensive end spot and hold down that D-line for us and actually put himself as a name as a defensive end in the state of West Virginia right now and getting looks from colleges in that position. He's done a great job in his maturity level as a high school kid, not just crumbling and falling by the wayside in that situation. So I applaud him for that, and I look for him to do some bigger and better things this year for us on the D-line and hopefully in the H-back tight end spot.
And then with Herrick, how's he looking? Presuming he's going to be your quarterback again.
Yeah, right now, you're looking at Harris being the quarterback right now. That's what we're planning on going into the season. Hopefully, barring any injuries, hopefully he can stay there. But hopefully we might have some wrinkles in there that nobody's ready for, so you never know what's going to happen.
Coach, offensive line, you're going to probably run the ball a lot and generate some touches around the line of scrimmage, jet sweeps, screens, things like that. You need a mobile and athletic offensive line. You've lost a couple of people from a season ago. What are the characteristics that define this unit, and who are some of the guys that have stepped up for you?
I'm just trying to figure out, y'all just saying we're going to run the ball a lot because we lost Spencer and Isaiah and those guys. We leaned on the run a little bit last year, although we did have some stellar guys on the outside and in the slot. The guys that have stepped up this year, we had 3 returning guys coming back with Michael Graham, Jared Wilberger, and at the end of the season, Adam Shively also did another thing for the team and stepping in and playing offensive line for us. One of the main kids that stepped up is Kip Waldeck, has stepped up to play center. And then we have another young man by the name of Nathan Mercer who's also stepped up to move into the other guard spot. Those guys have been working hard. There's 2 new guys added into that group. So they're trying to gel, trying to still get the cohesiveness together, getting into the first game. We got a scrimmage Saturday, so, we're going to scrimmage Saturday trying to see how things are rolling into the first week of the first game. But I think they're doing a great job. They've been doing a good job in practice, handling everything we've been throwing at them. So I think they're doing a good job to handle what we need for them to do this year.
Well, Coach, you mentioned some of those guys that you lost last year in Fritz and Powell and Toole, and even going back a year before, Sammy. A lot of these guys are going to a program that you're familiar with at Sheffield. Have you been able to keep up with them in camp and as they've transitioned to the collegiate level?
I've talked to a couple of them. I mean, mainly when I talk to Sammy a lot, and Sammy kind of, because Sammy's playing quarterback, he can give me some insight on what the other guys are doing, because sometimes he's throwing the ball to them, and they seem like, from Sammy, it seems like everybody's doing a great job. I mean, they're all doing great jobs. They're making moves, and hopefully, you know, within the next year or two, I'll get to see them on the field at Shepherd and at my old alma mater. So.
Coach Parker Stern, WEPM Sports. Last season, you got off to a slow start at 1-2 with losses against Sharando and a close game against Musselman. Really, a close game against Millbrook out of Virginia as well. Coming into this season, you're going to face off against Spring Mills to start week 1. It's a hungry team looking to prove a point this season. You take on Sharando again this year, and then you rematch with Spring Valley from last year in the playoffs. How important is it to get a really great start of the season going to propel later into the year?
It's always important to get a great start, because I try to tell people, it's not like every other sport that you see. There's not 20 games that we're playing. Like some of these other sports that we see in the fall, there's 20 games that they have. There's only 10. You only got 10 games. 10 games, and you got to be in the top 16 in the state to even get into the playoffs. So every game that we play is important. So it's really important that we get off to a hot start and keep things rolling in the season. So that's the main thing we want to do, is get off to a hot start. Like you said, the couple games that went down last year, you know, the Millbrook game was close. The Musselman game was close. You know, both of them probably could have went either way. You know, if we'd have pulled out with the Musselman game, that makes a difference in us playing on the road and then playing a home playoff game. You know, we traveled to Huntington 2 weeks in a row. I don't wish that on anybody.
You mentioned earlier that, you know, you lost Spencer and Isaiah as receivers, and so, you know, the receiver corps is going to look a little different this year. Talk about a few players that you anticipate stepping up and being key roles in those positions.
You know, it just doesn't, the revolving door doesn't stop, and we got so many kids that come in there that do a great job. You have Caleb Shelton, who played a lot last year. You have Demarius Wallace, who's come in and done a great job for us. Aiden Miller, Jackson Rockwell, Brady Roberts. You know, you can actually take the other guys in the backfield. Their skill set is good enough that you can take a Tayshawn Roper and put him out of slot. You can take a Rodrigo Delgado and put him in the slot or put him outside. Tony Allen has stepped up. So we have all those guys that we can just mix in and match in different spots. It's just now you have so many guys that you can get the ball to. Now it's going to be a point of how do we get them all in the game, keep them all happy, so nobody's really upset about the playing time and things of that nature. But we got a lot of kids that can go out there, catch the ball, run routes, and do special things after the ball, and everybody knows Keyshawn. So, I mean.
I have 2 questions, sir. You mentioned about some wrinkles. You guys have new uniforms, so do you have to iron the wrinkles out now?
Come on, guys. No.
Not for a serious question.
All right.
Today it was found out that the SSAC is investigating some acts of recruiting. Is that, this is not to accuse you of anything at all. What I'm saying, what I'm getting at is the portal. Is it surprising that people, you know, coaches in some places have kind of gone on their ways to like try to pluck players from places?
You will hit me with a tough question like that, wouldn't you? It's a sensitive question too. You know, it's the legislature opened up a can of worms and opened up Pandora's box by actually passing that law into play, and it's caused a lot of waves, not only in this area but across the state, to where it's a point now where in the past sometimes you didn't have to go kind of recruit your own kids who are in your district. You know, but it's sometimes it's, you know, sometimes it's when you're actually going after somebody else's player. Like I always said this, if I have a kid who's coming in from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, I'm going to try to go talk to those kids in the middle school that are in my district. I'm not really going to go out my way to talk to kids who I know are out of my district. If a kid is walking in my building right now, I kind of feel, in my own opinion, it's just my own opinion, it's dirty pool that you call a kid like that and try to talk to them to pull them from their school to another school. But this kind of thing is happening all over. It's happening in college. It's happening now in high school here. So now it's just something as coaches that we just got to try to adapt to, and just try to do things to, figure a way to make sure we keep our kids here. I mean, that's the main thing. We just got to keep our kids here. And I think sometimes winning cures a lot. So if you continue to win, it cures a lot of things. So we're going to keep our head to the grind and just try to keep winning, try to keep pushing through the playoffs and get further and further each year.
All right, Coach Hunter, can you please introduce your 5 players?
Oh, shoot. Now you put me on the spot here. It's Christmas. I want to know who wants to talk first. Keyshawn Robinson, since he got his head turned, Nasir Jacobs. Tayshawn Roper. Come on, Quinn. I'll give him a seat. I don't have a problem with that. I'll give him my seat. That means y'all done talking to me? That's good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This is King Holmes from Home Team Sports TV. I'm going to direct this first question to Dylan Herrick. You were forced into action last season as a sophomore and did a very good job. Now going into year 2, unquestioned starter, how does it feel to be able to go into the season knowing you are the starter? And how has that impacted you becoming a leader on the team?
I mean, it feels great. Always feels good coming in as a starter. I feel like I impacted the team by just bringing the energy and just trying to make everybody a better player.
Well, Keyshawn, of course, you're one of the fastest guys, if not the fastest guy in the state of West Virginia, so that puts a pretty big target on your back coming into the season. Are you ready to handle that pressure that comes with that?
Yes, sir.
We'll talk about it. How has the offseason been? You're going to be getting double team, triple team again. Is that what you've been working on this whole offseason to get ready for?
I think, they can't keep up with me. That's my only thought. They can't keep up with me. I think either way, they double team me or not, just try to find some other way to give me the ball. Being a running back, either it don't really matter.
For Tayshawn, Coach talked about you putting on a little bit of weight there in the offseason, but maintaining that speed. Can you talk about what that process was like, building up the body, but not costing any of your mobility?
After track season, I got with a guy, helped me put on some weight, but also maintain my speed. So I would lift about 3 days a week, and I would also do speed work one to 2 times a week too. So I wouldn't just be putting all this weight, sloppy weight, So got ready for the season, put on a couple pounds, run up in the middle, outside too, a little versatility. So.
Well, speaking of that versatility, so it sounds like you're going to line up and see you in the backfield, right? We'll see you maybe play a little bit in the slot and some corner as well. Which position are you excited to play the most?
Well, my favorite position, running back, so obviously that, but I'm not going to be mad. Throw me out in the slot, give it different looks and stuff, so defense not always think the same thing, don't really matter.
Quentin, your coach talked about the maturity that you showed transitioning from quarterback early in the season to turning into a defensive end and a weapon in the passing game. Take us through that for you, from your experience having to deal with going from starting as a quarterback, now being an important defensive player coming into the season for Jefferson, now feeling a lot of college offers for it too. What's that journey been like?
Oh, well, at first I was a little hurt, kind of wanted to be a QB so bad, but, everybody told me I was too big. So, the games I messed up, I just had to come back, help my team out, and, it's been a good journey.
Keyshawn, changing the subject a little bit. What records do you want to break on the track next spring?
All of them. 100, 200, and 400.
You got times you're looking for?
I'm definitely trying to get 47s for the 400, and then 200. Probably try to get something crazy 20.9 or something like that. And the 100, I'm trying to get 10 flat, something crazy. Do some off-season workouts.
When you racing Tyreek Hill?
Hey, I don't know.
Nasir, put you on the spot a little bit. Talk about the defense. You're going to be one of the leaders. You're going into your junior season. Obviously, you've been putting work in the weight room. We can see that. Talk about just, what your goals are as an individual and as a team, especially more geared also more towards the defense.
I'd say personally, goals are, I had about like 90 tackles last year, so I definitely want to get around 100 plus. Most of all, I just want to lead the team on defense, make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. I know we'll probably have top defense, if not around like top 3, so there's a lot of expectations out of our defense.
This question is for Quentin Gomes. Quentin obviously has been talked about from the transition from quarterback to losing and spot. How has that transition been behind the scenes, not only physically, but like mentally, being able to say now, all right, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a defensive end, and I'm going to be the best in the hand I can be.
That really, so when I first made the transition, like I said, I was like, man, like wow. But then when I started playing defense and more, I started liking it more, and I seen the potential that I had at it, so I just kept going at it in the off season. I've been working with Coach Gordon. I don't know if you guys heard of him, but I've been working with him a lot. Been going to all these camps, and then just really putting in the grind for this upcoming season.
Well, Dylan, you got a lot of fast guys around you on that offense. How is it trying to get the ball out to everybody so everybody's happy in that huddle?
It's pretty easy, honestly. I feel like everybody's open.
Well, with the speed, I'm sure they are.
Well, take us through those pass catches then. I mean, who are some of the guys we should look for? Obviously, we know what Key's capable of, but who are some of the other targets and what do they do well?
You got Key, of course, great route runner, great hands. Tayshawn's a great route runner. He has great hands. He knows football. He knows where to be. Caleb, Bubs, amazing receiver. Tony Allen, he's going to be playing in the slot some, amazing receiver. I hope Landon Roper is going to be the deep threat that we have. Quinn, he's a great tight end, great hands. Every time I look, he's open.
Dylan, aren't receivers always open? They tell you when they come back to the huddle?
Nah, my receivers usually don't lie to me. Sometimes they're like, you could have just thrown that. I'm like, nah.
Well, thank you guys. It's the next team. You guys can go that way so we can get a team picture of you guys. Good luck.
Thank you,
Hey, guys. joined by the coaches for the Martinsburg Bulldogs. We have Coach Walker, Coach Sherman, and
Coach Waters.
Coach Waters, nice to meet you guys. Pleasure to have you. First question for Coach Walker. It has become increasingly difficult for this program to fill out 10-game schedules as of late. This season, that difficulty led you into a Saturday game in Ohio versus a prep school from Canada. Tell us a little bit of how that game came to fruition and what type of scouting report you have on that team.
Well, I'm going to refer Coach Sherman to that question because he's the one that scheduled the game and actually had interaction with the sponsors and the people who set that thing up. So, Coach?
So we started talks with Clarkson North about 2 years ago, and we weren't sure that they were accredited. We weren't sure if the SSAC actually recognized them as a school. So I think that's how the Highland Springs game came about that year, to where we filled the schedule instead of playing Clarkson with them. And we talked to a couple of different showcases this year, and we were supposed to play in a showcase up in western Pennsylvania the 2020 year, and that fell through. So Ironton, Ohio reached out with their showcase, and their stadium's one of the oldest in the nation, Hanks Memorial, so we thought it would be pretty interesting to travel and play out there. So they tried to match us up with a team that was, similar to us and size and things like that. So they found Clarkson, and we started researching some, talked to them a little bit, and we agreed to play them at Tanks out in Ironton.
Coach Walker, Jordan Icewater, WPM Sports. Of course, you were at Concord before coming back to Martinsburg. How has the transition back to high school football been, and has Coach Sherman been a good host welcoming you back into Martinsburg?
Yeah, he's been great. The transition's been good. I mean, it's just like you took a vacation, a little extended vacation, but then you come back home. It's home. I think the first few weeks I was there, I got kind of acclimated to what was going on and got used to and getting to know and building a relationship with players. But yeah, it's been a good move, and I'm excited to be back home.
And how was the ending of your tenure over at Concord?
I mean, last year we finished the season 9-2, really close to making the national playoffs. Second 9+ win season in like 35 years. We had a great year, but at the end of the day, for me personally, it was more of a personal decision that I really wanted to just get back to the Panhandle and get back home. And Division II football is not what people think it is as well, as far as at the end of the day, college football is a business, and if you don't have the right resources, it's hard to stay in business. So for me, I felt like at my point in my life, I needed to be at the place that I'm the most happiest. So life is too short not to be happy.
Offensive and defensive play calling, then, what's that structure going to look like? Who's going to be calling plays?
It's not going to change than what it's been for the last couple of years. Coach Hash is a defensive coordinator. Coach Sherman is the offensive coordinator. When I was here in my tenure before, and me and Coach Sherman probably coached together for about 15, 16 years. 16. So we have a system, and it'll go back to that. I think the things that he's established and stuff I like, it's the same stuff that we've done before. I think he added some more dimensions to what they do offensively, but it'll be very similar. It'll be back to Coach Sherman will be up in the box calling it and relaying it down to me, and then like we both said, two heads are better than one. We come together and see things and then game plan and put together a plan.
And I want to ask you guys this, and start with Coach Waters then. I was blown away with you guys up front, offensively and defensively. And then blown away that on your offensive line you returned everybody, especially with Rashad, Hancock as well. I mean, is this the most talented and the most athletic size-wise that we've seen at Martinsburg for really since the time you guys have been with the program?
Well, I'm newer to the program. I just came down from the Northern Panhandle. I've been at Oak Glen and Brook for the last few years, but I volunteer, and Coach Walker offered me a slot to come down and help. And I will say that these are some of the finest coached high school athletes that I've seen in a long time. And knowing that we could have played them from Brook last year, probably, and honestly in the quarterfinals, and scouting what they had then, and then coming down and getting to see it firsthand, it's amazing. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job here. They're very well coached. Their technique
is probably some of the best in the state. So I'm just really happy to be a part of this and to help these gentlemen out and help these young men out.
Coach Walker, JD Fresh, Home Team Sports. I know you touched a little bit on transition back to high school football. Obviously, you were very successful before, and you spent 3 years at Concord. So what, as you experienced on the collegiate level, is going to help you come back to the high school and any of that experience? I mean,
I think there's been some things that have stood out to me. I think I got used to looking at older players, guys in their 20s. There's a big, mentally there might not be a big difference between a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old, but physically there is. And I got used to working with guys that are physically a little more mature. I got used to working with guys who know how to practice, who don't take plays off. It's the farther up you go, the harder it is to be successful at a higher level. So I think for me that it's just I've gotten used to looking at practice a little different. I think the way it's organized a little bit, some operational stuff that I think I'm a lot better at now than I was when I was here before. And I think I can help our players who want to go to the next level, having been a college head coach, recruiting, working with, and I've worked with some great All-American players at the collegiate level, and I know what their practice habits were. If I can get my guys to practice like those guys, it's all about what you do, when no one else is around. It's all about how you conduct yourself when no one is watching and how you work and how you practice. And if our guys learn how to practice properly, the sky's the limit for some of them. And most of them do a great job. But it's a work in progress, and I understand they're teenagers and they're young men, but, there's a certain way you have to conduct yourself. And I think that's probably one of the things that stood out to me dealing and recruiting with kids. And we recruited kids all over the country, from California, Florida, Georgia, Texas, the Midwest. So I had a really good snapshot of the country and to see what high school players are doing and how they're acting. And our guys are right up there with them. I think our guys can play with anybody with the school with equal enrollment. But I know I'm kind of rambling on, but I can get on a soapbox with that a little bit as far as, and especially when you introduce the portal to college football and how it's affected high school recruiting, and how it has affected college recruiting. I think it's really important for high school kids to try to set themselves apart academically, character. Coaches are going to recruit character in high school kids now. Back in just a few years ago, I think they'd overlook maybe some character flaws if you were really that good. But now, with the addition of kids that are transferring in the portal, I think they really recruit character as well, and they do their homework. If I'm going to invest a lot of money into someone, I'm going to make sure I'm getting what I'm paying for, and I want to make a good investment.
Parker Stone, WUPM Sports. Coach Sherman was quoted earlier saying that he wanted to bring the Bulldogs brand to a regional level during his tenure. Coach Walker, do you see that the same way? And what's the balance between having a challenging regional schedule to putting yourself in a position to win a state championship in the West Region ranks?
Me and Coach Sherman might differ a little bit on this, and I respect what he's done with the schedule and who they played and things like that. But my goal is to do what's best for my players. And the goal is to go deep into the postseason and to be able to set yourself in a position to end the season where you want to be. And if you get yourself all beat up during the season, it's hard to achieve that goal. So, and I'm not saying I enjoyed watching the games they play, but for me, it's about doing what's best for our players. I don't think it's fair for our guys to play against private schools. I don't think it's fair for our guys to play against kids that have NIL deals. And I don't think it's fair for our kids to play against schools that get to recruit the whole city of Richmond or whatever area they're in, and we're sitting here in Martinsburg. So I'm going to do what I think is best for our kids and our program and our school, and people can judge it however they want to. I've been doing it a long time, and we'll play anybody, definitely anybody in the state. We'll play anybody that's on equal footing with us, but I'm not going to put our kids at a disadvantage just so I can say that we're playing a national schedule. I don't care about that.
Well, Coach Sherman, real quick, of course you have Murphy Clement coming back in again, one of the top players in the state. How's it been being able to work with him over these last couple of years, and how, at this point in his career, how can you make it to where it's not just kind of the same playbook with Murphy out there each and every time?
Well, I mean, he's a great kid, first and foremost. And, I mean, just being a great teammate the last couple of years and splitting time, it's shown what a great teammate he is. But I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with a Murphy playbook when I think he can do pretty much anything we want to in our playbook. So I'm excited to work with him this year for sure.
Dave, you mentioned the NIL, and the SSAC is looking into the possibility of NIL for athletes in West Virginia. Of course, there's other things going on too. The portal, I call it the portal, whatever the state legislature did. I see you fluctuate from the portal, Coach. But anyway, there's investigations going on right now through the SSAC looking to see how much recruiting was done through the quote portal.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about it. I mean, I think whatever rules are in place, I think you have rules for a reason, they need to be followed. If a kid's not happy with us and wants to go somewhere else, then, so be it. But it's still against the rules to recruit. We've over the years, we've had kids come to us. I've never recruited a kid. Now,
I'm not accusing anyone.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But we've lost more than we've gained. And most of the times we lose kids because they don't feel like they can play for us, so they want to go somewhere else so they can play. And I'm fine with that. If you don't think you're good enough to play for us and you want to go to another school to play, then have at it. But if you think that you're going somewhere else to better yourself, then that's a farce. That's not true. I'd put our coaching staff up against anybody. I've coached with the college coaches. I've coached with a lot of different guys, and this is my 35th year. And our guys are as good as anybody around. They know the game as well as anybody around. And I've coached with college guys. I've been around a lot of great coaches over the years. I know our guys. I know the work they put into them. I think that if you're not happy at Martinsburg and you want to go somewhere else, over whatever reason, that's fine. But you can't be recruited. Me personally, I think the rule was fine the way it was. If the kid wants to come to us, then make the parents move, make them jump through the hoops to do whatever they have to do to make it legal. But now that you've opened this up to where a kid can just go wherever they want as long as they provide their own transportation, I think it becomes a thing to where you end up catering to parents, you end up catering to players instead of guys playing for their team, doing what they need to do, and taking hard coaching and being coachable. And I tell our guys this all the time, you better get comfortable being uncomfortable because life is uncomfortable. And there's a lot of things you got to deal with, and you have to overcome adversity. And sometimes you get beat out. Sometimes practice is tough. Sometimes your coach is going to yell at you. You know what? Your boss is going to yell at you. Your wife's going to yell at you. You better get used to it. And if you can't handle me or Coach Sherman yelling at you, then you're going to struggle in life. And the answer, if the answer is to go jump to another school because some coach is promising you all this stuff, the cream will rise to the top, and at the end of the day, that decision's going to come back on them. That being said, it is what it is. I'm going to go by whatever rules put in place. I'm not going to recruit kids. Now, the day they say we can recruit kids, then I'm going to recruit kids because it's the rule. If they say, no, I'm going to go by the rules. So you have rules in place for a reason, but a lot of people don't want to follow them.
All right, guys, we have to get the kids in.
All right.
We have to stay on schedule.
Get me on the soapbox.
Coach wanted me to introduce the top 5 kids you wanted to come in and be interviewed. That would be great.
Yeah, I've got some. Let's see. You got Rashad Reed.
That'd be 5.
Rashad, come on over here. Got Murph. Got EJ. Corey. Sarad. Is that 5? I think so.
Hey.
You want these guys sit right here? And then I think you two will put it You just want 5 guys up here?
I think
y'all came to. We'll stand behind them.
All right. First question is going to be for Rashad Reed. Rashad, you've been dominating force for the Martinsburg Lions since your arrival, picking up multiple offers over the summer and now committing to Elon. How does that commitment take the pressure off you going into your senior season?
It hasn't. I know as a senior I still have to work, still have to grind, still have to try to go for the championship, and I still got to be successful with me and my teammates. So.
same.
Well, Murphy, of course, again, coming back in as one of the top players in the state, people are going to be keying on you pretty much every game, and I'm sure at this point in your career, people might think that they have the scouting report on Murphy Clement. Is that true going into this season?
I mean, to me, like, people think they, like, can know what I'm doing, but, like, coaches know that people are going to know that what we're doing, but they're just putting in new stuff every day and every week, so we're just going to do what we need to do.
For Coy, then, it seems like we're going to see you line up all over the field. What's that going to look like? What positions are you the most excited to play?
For me, running back is new, but I like running because I run a quarterback also, but it's just a different view of the game. It's just nice.
So I'll piggyback up on that. So how are you going to be used kind of like Cordell Stewart was in a way? If you remember who that is, played for the Steelers, he just called the slash. He moved them all over the place. Is that what you're looking for, mainly?
Probably, yeah.
I heard that we talking about
So Rod, you had a pretty interesting off season. Representing Team USA, the flag football tournament and stuff. Congratulations on winning that. Now we're on the tackle. So what about the Friday Night Lights? Are you most excited about and going into your senior year? And you're back you were hurt last year. This is kind of like a part two question. Hurt last year, you're back in the mix. An offense. You're more known for deep DB, but now you're going to get a little more playing time getting receivers. So talk about
Well, I'd say, it's not really a change because I've been on offense a good bit, but mainly at practice, I just used to wear a little club. But, yeah, so I think we could see something there coming from the offensive side, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see your highlights in a bit. I guess the last question I'm going to ask EJ. EJ, you being offensive lineman, so Hawks and love. What is your biggest expectation going into the season, and what do you plan on? How many pancakes do you plan on getting this season?
I mean, I plan on getting a lot of pancakes, but expectation-wise, I feel like we're going to dominate. A lot of our entire offensive line is returning, so a lot of us, we know the system, we know any other front we get in, so as long as we trust our five, we're going to dominate.
Speaking of pancakes, what do you eat for breakfast?
I'll eat pancakes, but I eat waffles.
All right, so thank you guys for coming and joining us. If you guys could go over there so we can get a team picture of you guys, we really appreciate it. And good luck next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we got a theme, all right? Oh, shh, hold on. I'll wait, because it's going to offend people.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we don't want any bulletin board material.
Right to the microphone.
Don't want any bulletin board material. The last.
All right, so
let's go.
So, Coach, physicality.
Mm-hmm.
That's Musselman football. Physicality. Musselman teams are led by physicality. What players over the offseason have you taken notice on that's put the amazing work over at the gym to come back with a different level?
True. Man, you don't want to give the cliche and say all of them, but as a team, we really have. I think, I don't know. I think you're exactly right, but that's something we preach. We preach hard-nosed, punch in the mouth, don't let anybody try harder than you. You know, something, a lot of people say that, like you can control your effort, but a lot of people don't do that. And I think, you know, one of the things that stands out with our kids is they live by that. When you say, like, hey, every day you can control the effort that you give, our kids really do that. Our practices are physical. You know, I've had other coaches from the state come watch our practices, especially like towards the end of the year. You'll get, and I've done that before too, where, you know, if you don't make the playoffs, you'll call a coach and say, like, hey, can I come watch you guys and see if I can learn something, pick up something. And we've had coaches before that have came and watched our practices leading into a playoffs, and like they're like, gee whiz, man, like you guys practice like harder than we play. And you know, we try to live by that. You know, make the weight room demanding. You know, make our training demanding. You know, at the same time, we want to have fun. And you know, you don't want it all to be military, but at the same point, you know, some of it's kind of military-esque with, hey, we got to do this right, and this is how we get after it. You know, I'd probably say, to answer your question, other than give you the cliche, everybody, probably our offensive line. You know, we return all 5 of our offensive linemen from our team last year, which is huge. You know, you win 8 games and you get all big boys back up front. That's a pretty big key piece. But it'd be real easy for any of those guys probably to come in and say, like, well, hey, we made it. You know, we started and then step back a little bit. But none of the 5 did that. They all showed up in the off season, got stronger in the off season. They all moved well, and you know, really impressed with those guys. Physicality, man, starts up front.
Coach Thomas, J.D. Fritz, home team sports. Last year you were led by 2 All-State players in Baden Hartman, Ray Adamas. Who do you foresee stepping up this year as kind of playing those roles that those 2 guys played last year?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything starts with the quarterback position. You know, it's kind of, the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and I believe that everything kind of trickles down a little bit. You know, college is driven, and now, you know, high school is starting to kind of get to that way too a little bit. You know, you're not going to replace a Baden Hartman. You know, you come in and he threw for 2,000 yards, ran for 1,000 yards. Like, that's pretty stinking good. You know, you're not going to really replace his skill set. But at the same time, you know, Eli Fleming transferred in for us this year from Williamsport, Maryland, and you know, he moved in right at the end of January. It was right around Super Bowl weekend, so it was right around the end of January, start of February. And Eli's really gelled and really clicked, and you know, he kind of has taken that role on that Baden. He's very similar to Baden in a lot of ways. On the field, you know, we're not going to ask him to. Baden sometimes last year was our fullback, was our ground and pound guy, which, you know, we won't do that as much with Eli. But at the same point, they're very similar in their leadership styles. They both work really hard, and they both really kind of are uplifting to their teammates. You know, Baden led the state last year in high fives. Baden would always, every time somebody came back to the huddle, man, Baden would be the first one out there high fiving his linemen, his receivers. And Eli does that really well too, where just, you know, sometimes that little stuff, you don't have to be the loudest, most vocal guy, but you know, he'll really step up doing that. As far as receiver goes, yeah, same thing. You know, Ray was the fastest guy in the state, fastest guy in every single game that we played, other than Wheeling Park, because they had the Hawkins kid. But you know, Ray was just a different skill set. But you know, really, all the years I've been at Musselman, this is the most depth we've had at receiver. So, you know, last year a lot of times it was Ray, and then you kind of, you know, not really fell off, but, you know, he was just so far above everybody else. He was pretty good. This year we got 4, 5, 6 guys that, you know, we can rotate in, we can put in that. It's tough as a receiver because sometimes, you know, you might go in a game, you might have 1 or 2 catches, and it might be somebody else's night, and the next week it might be yours. But, you know, we feel really good about our receiver depth this year.
Coach Jordan Icewater, WPM Sports. 2-part question for you here. Of course, with Eli coming from Washington County, Maryland, the level and the style of football is a little bit different there than it is over here in Berkeley County. So how do you think he has started to show how he can play against Berkeley County and West Virginia type talent? And also on the other side of things, Troy Wilson, I mean, he's the one that people I think are really going to be looking at on that defensive end position to make a lot of noise. So in regards to those 2 players, really your 2 cornerstones, I'd say, on either side of the ball, how do you think things are starting to gel?
Yeah, Eli, you know, when they moved in and I met him and his parents, you know, one of the first things I told them is kids are kids. They all got, well, I mean, shoot, I'm starting to get kind of a semi-old head now, so I don't even know half the stuff they get on. Everybody's got Snapchat. Everybody's talking. It doesn't matter if you're from Williamsport, Martinsburg, Jefferson, Musselman. Everybody's kids are kids, and kids respect other kids that work hard. Especially Musselman. Kind of the first question, the physicality and the hard-nosed mentality, and that's the one thing that I told Eli and his parents when I first met him. I said, hey, if he comes in and works hard, he's going to demand respect just because his teammates are going to see the effort that he puts in. So even though the styles are different, kids are kids, and I think he's earned that respect from a leadership standpoint with his hard work. Troy's a different beast. Troy's just kind of a different dude. Really with everything he does from an offensive standpoint, he kind of gets overlooked from an offensive standpoint as well. But last year against Jefferson, he had that layout catch that was down at the 1 or 2 yard line that we ended up punching in that was a huge point in the season for us. But Troy's one of those kids that you can play him as a tight end on offense. You can flex him out as a receiver. He had a receiving touchdown last week against Frankfurt just on a little jailbreak slip screen. So he showed some moves, made some guys miss. He's going to want to make sure we all know that he's got he's got a little bit of those moves too. But defensively though, like you said, I think he makes his mark because you can put him out of that defensive end. He plays the pass well. I mean, he gets to the quarterback. If he doesn't get to the quarterback, I don't think I've coached a player in my 17 years I've been at Musselman. I don't think I've seen a player that knocks as many passes down. Just with his length and his size and his athleticism with getting those arms up. And, some of that's his basketball background to be able to do that. But, Troy's going to be a problem, but at the same point, we're really deep defensively. So if somebody decides, and it's going to happen this year, somebody's going to come out and double team him, get pressure on him, that we're going to be able to do some different things to get to the quarterback in some different ways.
Well, Coach, you mentioned a lot of returning depth from a team that was really battle-tested last season. Specifically, I wanted to ask you about the Wheeling Park saga. Because you go to the island, game doesn't go your way, Troy gets hurt, then you come back in the playoffs without him, and you're able to beat them in the rematch. Obviously, at the time, very proud of your guys. Can you talk about what that turnaround was like, being dominated by a team and then coming back to beating them in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of factors. We didn't really play bad in the game that we played at Wheeling Park last year. We lost, I believe it was 34-7, I think was the score. It was either 34 or 35, but I'm pretty sure they missed an extra point. It was 34-7. We had like 2 possessions in the red zone that we didn't punch in that could have really swung that game in a different way. So from a score standpoint, it looked like, oh man, they lost by 4 touchdowns. But we really yardage wise in the game, the yardage was really close in that game. We played them tight. We just you got to finish in the red zone. We practiced that today. So but coming back at our place, I don't know. Playoffs. I've coached long enough to know you make it to the playoffs, man. It's anybody's game, and especially I don't think I don't blame the travel for any reason like that, but still, to me, there is a difference when you got to get on a bus and you got to go 4.5 hours away compared to when you're sleeping in your bed, you're going to your own school, you're having a pep rally, you're kind of in that routine of, hey, I'm at home. So, to give it our place was neat. My coaching staff did a really good job. My defensive coordinator, Austin Lloyd, he changed a lot of stuff up that game. We kind of played Hawkins a little bit different in the matchup at their place. And the second game, we kind of bracketed him a little bit, gave them some different looks, stemmed and confused them a little bit. And then my offensive coordinator, Noah Cunningham, kind of came in with a different game plan of, hey, we line up a lot of tight end wing sets, and we planned to, hey, we're just going to smash them and pound them. And then all of a sudden, when they started coming up, we loosened them up and had a couple big plays in the passing game. So, a lot of factors. But, like we said at the get-go, our kids are tough. We talk to our kids about stuff like that, hey, it is what it is, man. Like, we're 0-0 now. Like, they're coming in here. Nobody thinks you guys are going to win. Everybody's doubting you. So, I like to play the underdog role like that sometimes. So that was fun that week.
Coach Parker Stone, WBN Sports. Looking at your schedule this year, for all intents and purposes, you have a gauntlet. You have a gauntlet on the run. Got to go Loudon Valley at Morgantown this year, and I'm sure they're very much looking forward to trying to get back to what was one of the most exciting games across all West Virginia football last year. Taking on Spring Mills, Martinsburg, being traveled to Cabell Midland, Hedgesville, Jefferson. It feels like it never stops for you guys. What's the momentum that you guys got coming into this schedule on your list? that is it just one game at a time for you guys at this point?
Yeah, we that's kind of once again that's kind of a cliche. I hate cliches. I hate the well, we got to go out and get 1% better every day. Sometimes I just like being real, man. But it is true. Our kids know that. Like our schedule's in the locker room. They know who we play. But at the same time, in our locker room, we have a beat Hanley signed, and then on our goal board, the only team I haven't put all 10 teams on our goal board. It's just Hanley. So we got to take care of that one first. We got to get that first one under your belt. But our kids are smart and they know. I've said it for years. You hear so much about other conferences in the state, how good they are, and this and once again, I've coached long enough now where I've played a lot of those teams. Like we play just as good football in the EPAC as anybody. I've gone into those games like, oh man, you play this team in the playoffs. Like man, you're not gonna be able to hang with them. And we'll get done games and I'll think Jefferson's just as good as them. Martinsburg's better than them. Spring Rose is tough as them. Our conference is good. But then like you said, on top of that, you got Morgantown. Morgantown's going to be tough. You got Parkersburg, you got Cabell Midland. Those are three of the top programs in the state. All three going to be playoff teams. And then Hanley and Loudon Valley. I got a chance to watch both of those teams scrimmage last week. They're both really good football teams. So it is what it is. You test yourself and you play a difficult schedule. When you get into the playoffs, I think that'll prepare you a little bit more.
Couple things. Glancing over at your team. They're yawning a lot right now. But you and I talked about this a little bit, BSing, the portal. And today it comes out that the SSAC is investigating some schools, I don't know who, for recruiting. So when I use the portal, that's, the legislature, which, kind of allow all this stuff to go on. And as I understand it, one of the great beneficiaries of it is one of the teams you guys play this year, Cabell Midland. They've brought in a lot of players from other places. I don't know how they got there. I don't care how they got there. But, what's your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, it's, I've never been, you talk about recruiting and, once again, it's trickling down a little bit. Like I said earlier, you get, free agency in the NFL's huge. And then you get into college. The college game now they open that door, and the college game really is with the NILs and all that stuff. And now it's making its way down to high school a little bit. I'm never one that's going to get out and get a hold of a kid. I've always been that way when I recruited hallways in school. If you want to play, we want you. If you don't want to play, then it's probably not for you. So I'm not going to get out and, I'm going to coach the kids that we have. I'm a big community guy, so, I'm not going to get out and do that. At the same point, kind of answering that question a little bit, we are in a different situation, because you get a quarterback transfer. Some people want to move for different reasons. Some people want to change for different reasons. Those reasons are anybody's reasons that choose to do that. Me and myself, once again, might sound like a coach's cliche. I got to worry about the kids that we have. We got, our football program's got, near 9 through 12, 100 kids this year. I think the exact number is 96. We just lost a couple and added a couple this week. So I think the number is 96. That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids. So, the things that a coach does, and I take my role very seriously, as a teacher at the high school. I teach math. I don't, no offense to anybody else, but I just don't show up and sit behind a desk all day. And I'm up teaching. I take that role seriously. My sons, I got 2 young sons that play sports, and which sports are great. But when they're not with me and they're with that coach, I expect that coach to give them guidance. And, I view myself as a parent away from home. So, not saying I don't know that stuff's going on, but at the same time, man, between, I got to show up at school every day, and I got kids in my classroom at 7 o'clock in the morning, like, hey, coach, how's it going? Can we talk about this? Which, I'm glad they do that because, I can be that parental guidance a little bit from home. But then, then I'm teaching math. Well, then I'm getting online and I'm checking grades. I check grades all the time. These guys will tell you, every day I'm saying, hey, I saw your English grade today, what was up with last week's assignment, it was missing, I pulled you down a little bit, and, I do that stuff all the time. Then you got to practice, and then, so, I don't know. I really don't worry about that stuff. I know what's going on. I see that stuff going on, but I mean, we got a locker room where if I can worry about our guys and get our guys with that mindset of, hey, we want to be tough, we want to be mentally focused, then we can take care of ourselves. We're going to be all right.
All right. One last question for you, and then we'll get the kids up here. I look at the schedule, and you guys traveled back to Jefferson again this year. How did that work out? I know last year you did the game, you guys played Jefferson. How did it work out having 2 straight games at Jefferson High School?
Coach Hunter paid me $550. No, I'm just so they changed our schedule this year, our EPAC schedule, around a little bit. So the ADs all met and decided, I don't care, I'll be transparent. I don't like it, but they decided that they were going to put all the conference games in the middle of the season. So they tried to put them like weeks, I guess 4 through 8. So then we had to go out and pick up like week 1 and week 2, which is why we got Hanley and Loudon Valley. And then we had to pick up the end of the schedule, which is why we have Parkersburg at the end. So the ADs and the EPAC decided they were going to put those in the middle. And they I guess they sat down and kind of figured out like getting the home and away schedules even. So they agreed for us to go back there. So, and I don't know. I really like playing Spring Mills week 1 just because the atmosphere, like everybody at the start of the year, we're going to go 10-0. Everybody says that, So, you get all the fans out there that want to see their team for the first time. You got a huge crowd. I hate that we're not playing Spring Mills week 1. But it just, I guess it just kind of got moved around. So, my mentality, our team's mentality, which you asked earlier, we'll show up, man. We'll play on a gravel parking lot. We'll play on pavement, man. We'll get ready to punch you in the mouth wherever we got to. So it is what it is. Yeah.
If you could introduce your 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a big group, so we got a lot of dudes. Eli, we'll bring Eli up. You guys ask a lot of questions about him, so he's Eli last year. Okay, fun fact. You want me to introduce to Eli last year when I met him and they moved in? One of the things that they asked me, they said we're excited about football, but they wanted to make sure there was a good calculus class. He took calculus as a junior last year, so
AP or BC?
AP.
Genius. Our center got mad when he came to our center. He's like, man, I don't know if I'm the smartest guy on the team anymore. He's pretty good. Troy, bring Troy up. You guys asked about Troy a little bit. We've already made his head big, so I'm not going to say anything else about him. All right. Braden Miller, he's a 2-way starter for us. Am I out of here? Can I stand up and go? Okay. We got a lot of them. Do you want the rest of them to like stand?
In the middle. It's the two more to stand behind.
Okay, Dennis White, and Dalton.
Troy? No Crocs? What's going on?
No, man, what about the
Hey-Dude's on the
Hey Dude's trade. Crocs for sophomore year.
I'm going to start this off, and I'm going to start off with a different type of question. I'm going to bring it to Brayton. Everyone knows about the Musselman tradition of Midnight Madness. Give us a little bit of the insight of the thoughts of a Musselman player when it comes to Midnight Madness.
It's probably the coolest thing at Musselman we have besides the hammer. But it's really about we're the first team out there, and we're here to set the tone. We're the first team to really set a foundation, and everybody knows we're the first in the state to do it. And it's really a tone setter. It lightens up the energy, gets things going. It's just how we roll.
Eli, you led a Williamsport team to one of their most successful seasons in a long time over in Washington County. So building off of that season, how do you feel you can translate your game from Washington County over to Berkeley County, West Virginia, where things are a little bit quicker, a little bit more physical?
Yeah, obviously, the competition's, big difference, but I think, just working with the guys I have around me, I've created, a great bond with every single one of them, I think. So I think just, using the teamwork together, I think that's how we build off what I had last year.
Troy, you picked up multiple offers this summer as a defensive end. What about that position do you feel works for your skill set that has allowed you to become one of the best, defensive players in the state?
It's definitely my speed. I feel like when I'm going against those bigger guys, I'm really lengthy, and my first step's really good. So it's hard for them. Even if they do get out there, I can cut under them. So my speed. Every lineman I went against has always told me I'm super fast. And my defensive coach this year has told me win with speed, and then go to a counter move. So that's definitely the biggest thing.
Braden, that Morgantown game last year, made a couple of spectacular grabs. What do you remember from that matchup, and are you looking forward to the rematch?
I remember they didn't really account for me. They didn't know who I was. I was just a young sophomore, just playing the role, and then my time came, and I made the plays that needed to be made, and then I guess going there this year is going to be different now that they remember my name, and hopefully they try and account for me.
Dalton, you're changing quarterbacks now, obviously. How does that change your role in the offense? Obviously, not much. I'm sure you're going to scramble a little bit, but not as much of a mobile quarterback. You're going to run more routes. Are you pass protecting a little bit more this season? Are you going to get more carries? How's your role changed?
I say I'd probably get more carries since Baden got the ball a lot, and I'm going to be pass blocking for him so he can pass them the ball and everything.
Dennis, I wanted to ask you about this. All 5 returners starting for the offensive line this upcoming year, and potentially you playing nose guard as well for Musselman this year. I think the lines look in the upcoming season compared to the lines across the state. Where do you guys think you stack up at?
I just think we're a lot stronger, personally, because we've been in the weight room nonstop pretty much. If you walk into our weight room, the entire line has their own section, and we're just nonstop getting after it. You can ask Xavier. No matter what we're lifting, we're always getting on each other because we always say you're not lifting enough. So I just feel our strength and also our communication is really up there. So I feel that's what we really excel at.
Seems like it's always Martinsburg, then Musselman, year in, year out, or at least on the minds of a lot of people around the area. Do you feel like this year this is the type of group that can take that next step and maybe knock off the crown of Bulldogs?
I mean, we've always been doubted no matter what. I mean, we could win a state championship and people would still say next year we're going to be terrible. So we don't really listen to what people say. We just come in with the mindset it's us versus everybody. We're just going to go out there and worry about us, and that's all we can do. And if we do that, we're going to win.
All right, this question is for Dennis. You've been very active in the camp circuit over the summer. What are some of the things you have learned attending camps, as well as some things that you're hearing about yourself that can help you take your game to the next level?
I mean, honestly, a lot of my pass sets and pass protection, I feel I've learned the most out of that. And also, my pull steps, I've improved greatly, and I've heard that from the start. The very first camp I went to, I was told that my pull step needed to get quicker and work on the actual technique and getting open and all that. And the last one I went to, I was told that I excelled at it. I was looking the best at any of them. So.
Questions for Eli. Eli, obviously you came from Williamsport, you're coming in, a new guy. There's huge tradition at Musselman. So how did the guys around you, how were they welcoming? Were they really welcoming you? And talk about that.
Oh yeah, I mean these guys have been welcoming to me day one, and it's obviously it's hard making a transition to a new school, meeting a whole new team. But I think these guys have surrounded me well and made me feel comfortable in the system.
So what are some of the differences from playing Williamsport to EPAC football?
Yeah, obviously I haven't got to see the actual competition yet, but I think the speed's up. I think the energy we've had in practices have been great, and I'm just excited to see what we can do as a team out there.
Well, Logan, similarly to what I asked Braden, you had a pretty important play in that Morgantown game. Can you talk about that and your thoughts on the rematch of playing at Tony Lewis?
We just came in the game and they were coming to our house, number 2 in the state, and we knew that if we did our business that we would win. And coming out the gate, I told Troy, I was like, I'm taking that kick return back. And you guys heard, and I took it back. And yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to respect us a lot more, and I think we can go down there and show them something.
Troy, what's your go-to pass rush move?
Speed. And get around them.
Try to bet off the edge?
Yeah, my favorite one's probably just the bull rush. If I don't beat you with speed and you have your hands down, I'm just going right to you because my long arms, if I get them on you, it's going to be not a lot of the offensive linemen around here have as long as arms as me, so it's hard for them to get their hands on me if I get my hands fully extended.
You got the measurement on your arms?
I think the Shepherd camp, it was 6'4", 6'5", something.
Okay.
About any other questions?
Eli, has Coach Thomas learned your song yet?
I talked to him about it the other day, and I was disappointed. He still has no clue, but I was disappointed that he's never heard that song. That's gonna have to be played in the weight room next practice.
There you go.
Elon's coming.
Well, Peyton, how has it been working with a new quarterback and having to kind of learn those intricacies a little bit?
It's been really good. Last year I played a little running back, but then going into the season I hurt my knee, so it put me out pretty much the whole season. It's been good. I've been playing a lot of slot receiver this year and backing up my boy here, so I think we're going to do pretty well, and he's been pretty good to work with. So.
All right, guys. Well, definitely.
Yeah, I got one more, if you don't mind. I'm sorry. Eli, give us a wide receiver that we should be looking out for, and then the defensive backs that you've gone up against in practice today. Who's impressed you the most?
I mean, I'm not going to pick anyone out in particular just because our offense is designed to spread the ball out to like everyone we have. So I'm going to just give you all these guys I have here. And then I'm excited to see what our backfield can do too, because we got Dalton and we got Blake Sanders and a bunch of other guys that I'm looking forward to see what they can do.
All right, guys. Well, definitely a pleasure to have you guys. You guys go over there and take a picture for us. And
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, fellas.
He has more fun than us. So. No, listen, no coach that you've talked to today, no head coach in the EPAC won a shadow boxing contest. I'm the only one that did that. So that's the truth.
Train's not charging. Hold on 1 second. Huh? Okay, yeah, you're good. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yep.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just gonna do a couple quick rapid fire questions. I'll start first for Coach Thomas, and then you guys can chime in. What has been the message or the mindset through preseason leading up to bright lights next week?
You know what to do it. You got to train rolling.
Keep my trainer rolling. That's been the mindset. That's I don't know. It's just something like just after a big play, we've had either side of the ball. They just kind of said, keep us rolling. We got a train that passes by our practice field every day, so they're having fun with it. I think the conductor guy's probably been the same every time. He just lays on that horn. We've kind of adopted that this year, which is kind of cool because it's crazy when you think like this is stupid, but it's crazy when you think about it. We've had that train pass by for 17 years, and I don't know if we've ever had a team embrace it like this year. So it's just you don't think about that, so it's neat.
Everybody looking for something else to do besides practice. Everybody knows the train, huh?
Yeah.
One more question for you, Coach. How do you feel football has been in the Eastern Panhandle as a whole? Since Southern West Virginia doesn't really respect the Eastern Panhandle, we feel we're in the toughest division in the whole state.
Yeah, I said this out there, and I really believe it. I've coached long enough where I've got a chance to coach against so many different teams in the state. Haven't got Huntington, haven't got Spring Valley yet. Haven't gone against those two, but coached against a lot of teams in the state. And there's a lot of games that I've gone into where I've had other coaches be like, "Oh man, man, you're playing them like they're really good, like they're really tough." And then when we get no disrespect, but we get into the game, we get done the game, and I think to myself like, man, our conference, we played games just as tough as that. Like they weren't like all world. So I think we played just as good at football as anybody else in the rest of the state.
You got to always get the gauntlet scheduling, not afraid to schedule anybody for what I keep saying, so it's crazy.
It'll make it better. Stuff like that, picking up Capital Midland this year, Capital Midland, Morgantown, and Parkersburg. Those are our 3 in-state teams that we play out of schedule. All 3 of those teams are playoff caliber teams. So, you want to be the best, you play the best, you challenge yourself. I've coached before where you play lesser teams and then you play somebody really good and it shoots you back. Like, oh man, they're pretty good. So we play against those teams. We won't be afraid of anybody.
All right, for the players, what do you think is the most important factor that will determine if you reach your team goals that you guys have set this year?
Our energy. We do a big thing with us is if our practice is quiet, no one's really talking. It's not like a bad practice, but when we're keep my train rolling, we're over here yelling, laughing, having fun. We have the best practices. We're hitting each other, and when we're doing it, we're celebrating as a team. It's not like one man for himself. If someone has a good play, they're not just celebrating by themselves. B-Mel, me, Logan, Eli, our other skilled guys are going up, giving them high fives, jumping on each other, just having a blast.
Probably, how many weeks ago was that we made those goals? 2 weeks ago?
We made them last week before August, so yeah, it's been about 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah, so I think the main goal that we decided on was keeping everyone accountable. So I think that's the key for pretty much any team. It sounds cliche, but there's no I in team, sort of that mindset where if you play as a team, you're gonna win as a team.
Time to shine, man. Somebody else.
No, I'd definitely say practice to get better. I think we come into every practice with the mindset of getting better, just working harder and changing our best, like Coach Thomas said.
To piggyback off what Eli said, our main goals is to be the best in the state, practice the best, and when you have energy, effort, and all that, the one thing you need most is your team. So I think us not being selfish is
kind of the main thing. We're all bought into the program, and we're all committed to it. So there's no just individual players. It's all of them.
It's tough, man, because we talk to them a lot. Like everybody you're talking to tonight, they all want to win. Like they're all work. Like every team's been in here tonight's working. Like they're putting the work in. You know, you respect these kids. They go to class, they work, they do all this stuff. But like, what are you doing better than them? Like what is making you stand out? That's making you what is making you work harder than Hedgesville? What's making you work harder than Washington? So constantly just talking about that with our guys.
Not to get complacent. Good answer. Anybody have any individual goals this year, set yourself?
Personally, I want to break the school sack record. I don't know what it is. They won't tell me. They said they'll tell you when you break it.
Listen, you said this way back. No. If he would text me and ask me that question, I would answer it. Because I'd be sitting there by my computer probably like during the school day. The problem with him is you will text him and he doesn't text you back. Every time I text you, it's like you don't say anything back. Like so.
I think it's like 13 or something. It might be more than that.
I think it is 13.
But having a 10 sack season last year, that's just the goal was just to play better than I did last year.
Anybody else?
Today at practice, we were talking about. I was talking to my quarterback coach, which was Caleb Denbeck, Chris Denbeck. He was the leading passer for Musselman High School, and when he was telling me that this year he was hoping to see me break his record, which I think is like 2,200 yards. Mm-hmm. So he was saying, I mean, that'd be nice, but he's of course like a great person to learn from since he's the leading passer at Musselman. So we'll see what I can do.
I mean, for individual goal, it's just to be a better version of yourself. Like I just want to be better than I was last year. It's not that I want 20 touchdowns or 10 interceptions. Sometimes you gotta think realistic, and you gotta be a better version of yourself, whether it's on the field, off the field, as a man, as a student, just all around, just be a better version of yourself.
Smart kids, man. We do. One of the positives we have, man. Our team GPA. I don't know what it is. I need to figure it out because it's like the 5th time this week I've said this, but our team GPA is so high, man. Like these are smart kids, man. They understand. They understand. Like you get tight with each other and you play with each other. You look at Logan. Logan last year, kind of answer you asked B-Mill, and you talked about Logan a little bit last year. Logan came into the season, we thought, man, Logan's going to blow up. Like, we thought the season. He had a really, really slow start to the season last year. He had some rough games where he was getting, the coverages were slanting his way, like, he wasn't getting a lot of stuff, and me and him talked at the start of last year, kind of like B-Mill talked about, you want to be a better version of yourself. Logan never got down. He never got frustrated. And then towards the end of it, I told him, I said, stay patient. It'll happen. He blew up at the end of the year. Had some huge games for us at the end of the year. So, kind of like B-Mill's saying, like all these guys kind of had that mindset. But when he said that, I kind of thought about Logan just, because like he's talking about, you just want to be a better version and continue to get better. And that's a good example.
Awesome. I think for me personally, I think I can be a better leader. Going in my sophomore year, I didn't play much, and then my junior year, I was going to play, but then I got hurt, so I was out for most of the season. Overcoming adversity is a big thing for me. Going in this year, I'm starting on defense, and I'm going to get some good reps on offense, and I just want to be a better leader for these younger kids so they know that, when they hit adversity, you just keep pushing and keep working, and you'll eventually get through it. So.
Somebody else?
I'd say my personal goal is to help everybody, keep a winning mentality, get a winning mentality. But everybody knows that Martinsburg has been a really good team. We haven't beaten Martinsburg in a while. So I think everybody kind of goes into that Martinsburg week and they're like, oh, we haven't beaten in so long. But my thing is, I want us all to have winning mentality. Over the summer workouts, I took everything, we took everything as a chance to win the day, win the rep. Everything we do, we try to win, be the best at. like the O-line, we won the Big Man Challenge at Virginia Tech. We got to compete with a really good team, Gonzaga. Yeah, but we just took it, we just went into that with the winning mentality, you know, and we came out with the win.
As like the only senior like starting the offensive line, like my one real goal is to just be the best leader I can for them. You know, set them up for the years coming. Because Coach Thomas always says it like it's not for everything. People come and go. It's my senior year. I want to make it special and all that, but like ultimately the program's going to continue. I want to set up these younger guys so like they can be strong and all that, and just keep going.
Keep the train rolling.
Keep the train rolling.
Final thoughts, Coach? Outlook towards the season?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. They're doubting us.
What do you got a hard time doing? What do you got a hard time doing, Coach?
Not me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I got a hard time pulling me down there.
Here's what I'll say. I've been at Musselman a long time, and I tell these guys this, and I'll just be upfront and honest. For some reason, I think a lot of times we get doubted, overlooked. It is what it is. I feel like that sometimes. I feel like a lot of times, like, oh man, like Martinsburg's top dog. Jefferson's got all this speed. Hedgesville's going to be really a lot better, man. Spring Mills this year, they're going to blow up. And I feel like somewhere there's like, yeah, Musselman, they'll probably be pretty good again. And then every year, we show up and just continue to work hard, keep our head down, worry about ourselves, and have a lot of success. So, that's kind of my goal for the season. I really want to worry about, no matter what a perception is, no matter what anything else is, no matter what you hear from the outside, no matter what you see on social media. I saw something today. One of my friends sent me something today that had like a prediction of the top 10. He said, man, you guys aren't in this. And I said, all right, it is what it is, man. But all that stuff at the end of the day, it's opinions. I really, with these guys, I want to keep them level-headed. One of the things that I say to them a lot is everybody's going to mess up. I'll tell them that tomorrow night before the scrimmage. Little inside look here. What I tell them before the scrimmage. I'll tell them somebody's going to mess up. Somebody's going to, heaven forbid, Eli throws an interception. But most quarterbacks who start and play 10 games at some point throw an interception. Might happen. Heaven forbid a running back fumbles. Heaven forbid a receiver drops a pass. You miss a tackle. That's going to happen. The big thing with these guys, I just want them to keep to understand, move on to the next play. Keep our heads level. Don't let your high get too high. Don't let your low get too low. That's cliche, but I believe that. You can't get too excited because then your head gets big and you fall flat in your face. You get too sad when something's going wrong, and then next thing you know, it snowballs into 5 straight things that go wrong. So my biggest outlook for the season is no matter what we're facing, we're going to face a tough time at some point. Hopefully we don't lose any games, but hopefully we don't get anybody injured. Might happen. If something negative happens, we got to push through that tough time. So level-headed with these guys.
No, I think that's about it. But good luck, guys. We'll be covering your game. I'll make a few. I'll still cheer for the Appleman.
Yes, sir.
I know my son's not there anymore.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
Good.
His goal is to be able to speak better.
We should do media training.
I will.
Someone said hi.
I need that set right.
You too, dude.
Meet Cheryl Yates at ERA Liberty Realty. With over 30 years of experience, Cheryl provides each of her clients with the best level of customer service, along with helping families with the next phase of their life. The buying and selling process comes natural to Cheryl, as her understanding of the housing market allows her the ability to answer any questions that may arise. With offices in both Jefferson and Berkeley counties, she works hard to ensure the outcome you deserve. Cheryl is the key to selling or buying your home.